Hey everybody, this is Alan Robot Van Wert with GuitarBots.com. I'm going to show you the interval portion of the song exercise things, and what you're going to have fun doing playing over these is all the variations that I've included. Now these are the variations that I've gone over and practiced myself. I've shown this stuff to a lot of students over the years and it tends to really help out. It's the core material for any genre of music you're going to be working on, so everybody could benefit from doing these. I've even had some advanced players, really experienced ones, go through this stuff, and there's a lot of issues that are corrected in their playing because they didn't realize there were issues. They just, every once in a while they'd have trouble with something, but they never connect exactly why. But this is one of those things where it'll really help out overall. So I'll give you the gist of how it works out. First you're going to have the basics like diatonic thirds. I'm sure you've had that stuff somewhere before, right? Then we do the inversion of it. So you're going to not just do that and then that's it. What happens if it starts on a different beat? Or what happens if you're going to play it in reverse, right? So doing that, and then on the way back down, it's going to be the opposite, coming back down. And then we do every other reversed. And then back down the same way. And then the reverse of every other reverse. So it starts. Okay, so you get the gist of that. Now we're doing all this in the second position, by the way. That doesn't mean that's all you could do, but obviously I had only so much space they allotted me with the exercise material. They said try to keep it under a certain amount of time because it's a lot of exercises basically when you get right down to it, but it's a system that I go through, so it's kind of progressive. And you'll be able to pick out what you have to do after this anyway. But essentially, I'll give you the tip on that. Instead of just doing the one position, once you have it down and you reach your goal tempo, whatever that may be, then you want to start to play it in different mode shapes, different positions on the fretboard in the same key. Just keep it in the key of G to make it easier at first, if you want. And you play it in all the positions, every mode shape and pattern. And then once you're pretty good at that for all these exercises, then you can start moving around in different keys, which isn't going to make a huge difference because you already learned the whole fretboard one way or the other anyway. So that's the set of variations, and that's just the first one, right? So then it'll be diatonic thirds, very common in music. You have your arpeggios built off of those, right? Then the next thing we're going to do are fourths. You might ask, why aren't we doing seconds? Well, that's the same thing as thirds in reverse. So we already have that covered. But anyway, fourths. You don't hear those much on guitar. Now keyboard players rip those up, and guitar players kind of suck at them. So doing a straight 4 set of 4 diatonic, you have to watch because you have the flat 5 or sharp 4 right there. It's tough. You're not used to doing this. You have to roll your fingers. You have to really get used to it and try to keep your fingers all in the same 1 finger per fret rule. And then we're going to do the same thing with that. We're going to go opposite, reverse, and then every other reverse, which sounds pretty. It's a really musical way to exercise anyway. All right, very nice. And then what you want to do is the opposite of that, so reverse every other reverse. And keep in mind, it's in the material. Now the other thing is, I'll go through the rest of these, I guess. So those are the fourths. We did seconds, seconds and thirds. There's the fourths. Now the fourths are kind of the opposite of fifths, but there are certain things that start happening with some of them. So we also have fifths on there. Yeah, it's a lot easier to think about them as fourths, especially on the metronome going. But those are fifths, and you're gonna do the same thing with that. Exercise through those, and like I said, it's kind of like the reverse 4, like how the 2 and the 3 worked. The 3 and the 4 kind of do some of that too, but with the 4 and the 5, it's almost like the 2 and the 3. So I didn't spend as much time personally as the 5. However, now you can because it's on there with the exercises. And then 6s are really nice too. People don't play those a lot when they're just jamming on the guitar for some reason, this interval, but it's a nice sound. Now this right here, that roll is pretty tough. Sometimes people ask me, I said yes, if you really have to, you could use your ring finger. I kind of do it sometimes depending on how I'm feeling. So I could just go like that, 2. Right, so anyway, the 6th straight, you got that thing going on, then every other reverse, or reverse rather, and then reverse every other. have those things you gotta do, and then sevenths. Again, the sevenths are tough because you have this roll between. You'll get used to doing them, but if you have no way of doing it for some reason you just can't get it, after trying for a while, if you have to, then you could try to figure out a different way to finger it, but it's gonna be tough, honestly. So the next thing you want to do, or look at, or notice anyway, that's in the lesson material, would be the use of rhythm. Now, I'm not going to run the metronome right now because that sounds a little bit annoying. You'll be able to obviously see it and hear what's going on in there once you're playing it, but it's the difference of this. If I was going to click my foot in time and go, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now if you did triplets, so there's different ways. Even though it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, however you want to count it, even though it's not a set of 3 or 6, you could still play it as a set of 3 or 6. The problem is you're gonna flip it around. It's gonna start doing this weird revolution thing. And I intentionally put those in because that's how music is actually played. More commonly, you won't have it always straightforward. It'll be more actual music. So that's why I include those. It's very important to do those right. A lot of people have a huge weakness when it comes to rhythm in their phrasing, and this is going to correct that for you as well. So you'll be having fun playing these exercises. They're pretty quick. I think I might have had some of them around 120 beats per minute, which is where I used to practice them every day. And that was like my warm-up tempo for my actual warm-up stuff anyway. So that's usually around where I'd make sure I could do everything pretty decently. Obviously that changes when you're doing either sets of 3 or sets of 6 time-wise, because if you're gonna go and try to rip it up as, it's real tough to keep clean at that speed. Sorry, it appears that I tried to play too quick and my camera shut off on me. I broke it. So anyway, here's the thing. You're gonna be going through that stuff. Keep in mind your tempos. Also, don't forget palm muting. Now, when you palm mute, people have a technique where they'll go like this if you're alternate picking, right? And then they'll start twisting their wrist. Try not to do that. Try to move uniformly as best as you can. It's tough, but what you have to do is get used to unmuting the notes that you already muted enough to slide your hand down and try to mute up there rather than going. It's really tough to keep them in pitch doing that. Okay, so that's that thing. The other thing you could do for extra fun, if you wanted to, you could run these, some of them, as actual chord voicings, like. They sound nice, plus you'll get used to where they are. Now, not only is this going to program into your head where the pattern lies on the fretboard as you're doing these, especially if you do them slow at first, it'll help with that. Also, you want to sometimes tell yourself major or minor, like major third, minor third, minor third, major, major, minor, and start getting used to what they look and sound and feel like. It could be a lot of material out of this little bit of material if you work it the right way, and that's the way I like to show everybody. Now again, then afterwards you want to run it through all the positions, fingering patterns, same type of exercise, just run it everywhere, all the variations of it. And then also what you want to do is start running it through from one pattern into the next, and then maybe even 3 of them together. So doing something like that, and then of course back down. But you want to change on different strings, so you know how to do it in a lot of different strings and places throughout the patterns. It certainly helps out. You want to try to do that with every exercise you can. Some of them might be a little bit tricky, but there should be a way to do them. So that's the interval stuff. I don't want to take up too much of your time here, because you should be having fun playing the awesome game while you're learning. And I'm interested to check out everybody's scores on this stuff. To me, it seems very difficult because it's easier for me to sit down and memorize something and just do it, but reading it off the screen and attempting to play it on time and knowing where I am on the guitar, that's tough. That's why I try to keep this stuff in one position to make it a little bit more friendly for somebody who's new to the game itself, like me, because I sucked at it. I tried it and I was like, oh, I could do it. The rhythm was awesome and everything, but when it starts to get to weird fret positions, I have to like look up, down. I'm a little bit confused. So I'm sure that with time, like any other video game, or anything you learn, you'll get better at it. So keep at it and have a lot of fun. And again, I guess they're telling me that you're able to slow stuff down, which is definitely the way to practice. I would say to start very slow on this stuff, even if you can, like that. That's great. Nothing wrong with that at all. That means you're programming. But when you're going slow, make sure you're picking properly. Make sure your left hand is fretting properly right by the frets, and you're pressing down with a good amount of force. And then when you're actually performing it, you don't need much force at all. So you play light. So that's my little tips for doing the interval exercises and game stuff. I know there's a couple of them on there, and they are going to be challenging. Now, I want to see on Facebook all the people, if they get like a little, what do you call those little trophy things, saying they did it, they completed the courses, and that's going to be awesome. I'm excited to see how people do with this stuff, because I know I've been given this sort of material for a long time, but it's really cool. It'll track their actual accuracy live. I think this is some great software, and again, it's fun. So have a good time practicing, and I'll let you go and do your thing.